Welcome to the Juice. Tonight we have Pretty Dim. Tell us more about yourself, please. Introduce yourself.
My name is Pretty Dim, and I am a producer / engineer out of the local Dallas-Fort Worth area. Just recently dropped a project with my brother. You guys just recently had him on here. No. Shout out for the lob from my boy. And I've worked with a couple of decent other artists around here, just in the local Fort Worth area. Avery Burke, Taka's, my homie Jizo. The list kind of goes on for a little bit as far as some Fort Worth artists goes, but I would say that's a nice little sum up as far as it goes for right now.
Yeah, I heard that Gustavo's Pain with him. I'm like, oh my god, that album's so good.
Yeah.
I need to go back and listen to it, but I heard a couple of tracks. But how many did you actually produce on there?
So
the whole thing?
He originally dropped San Marcos Drive, which is track number 3 off of that tape as a single. And he probably did, I think he did that late last year, maybe at the end of November, beginning of December. But then the other one, because that's, like I said, that's track number 3. But the other one, the very next one, Last Thing I Do, I also produced that one. And that one was, I put it in my caption, on Instagram, man. That's one of my favorite beats that I've ever made. I think that there was a lot that was going on just naturally in our lives whenever that beat was made. And I think we were actually both living in Arizona, because he moved out there to go to music school to learn more about engineering, producing, and everything. And at the time that I was in, I was just well, I feel like it'd be dope to just leave Texas and maybe just go somewhere new. And he wasn't asking for much, and I kind of knew that we were going to be able to lock in on a lot of music. So yeah, I went out there and lived in Arizona for a solid 3 or 4 months. And while we were out there, that's whenever Last Thing I Do was made.
Nice.
What part of Arizona?
It was more the Tempe Mesa area, so very close to the ASU, kind of maybe 10-15 minutes away from the college town.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you connect with any artists over there, or was just
staying
in your circle?
I think that we were, I feel because they were so driven, because while I was out there, I also met the homies Zoo and Levi and Lux, and they were all really close friends with Jizo. But obviously, because Jizo is my dog, he's going to introduce me to his close homies.
Yeah.
And everything. So as he introduced me to them, they were all pretty much going to the same exact school. So I was really the only one that was, for pretty much the first month and a half, 2 months that I was there, that was really just working on beats at the crib, going to the gym, all of that stuff, while they would be in school just at random times of the day. But while I was out there, it was a great time, dude. They're not kidding about the Arizona heat, though.
Oh yeah.
They're definitely not.
Is it worse than Texas?
No,
different type of heat.
But here's what's crazy though. I wouldn't say that it was worse than Texas.
Whoa.
I think honestly, I prefer that heat because whenever Texas is hot,
humidity.
Dude,
you sweat.
Whenever you're seeing that humidity come off of the ground,
right,
that type of heat in Texas is the worst.
Yeah,
but
can't even breathe.
In Arizona, whenever it's like that, you would see it come off the gravel and everything, but it was just straight sun. It wasn't no humidity. It just felt like the sun was right on your back. So as long as you had a nice little gallon of water around, you'd be straight,
Yeah. It's cool too. I had a homie that went out there recently, and he stayed out in some teepee thing. It's just the lifestyle out there is desert-ish.
Yeah.
It's cold, different, way different. But
very, very desert. For as much as we were in Mesa, Tempe, as soon as you would get to Phoenix, or as you were going across the highway over the airport over there, you would just look to the right and it would just be miles of desert. Yeah.
That's
very,
my
very
least
cool.
favorite terrain is
Really?
the desert. Yes. I don't know why. Just I love green and I love nature and the flowers and the trees. So whenever I see the desert, I'm I just feel so thirsty looking at it.
You're just man, there's no sign of life.
No. But there is a lot of different types of life. They're just all blended in. You can't tell that they're there.
Right. Absolutely.
Let's see.
So what's your drink of choice and why?
Well, this evening we are sipping on some very nice red wine. I feel like this might be a little bit. Is this a little bit sparkling?
Yeah.
A little
Yeah,
it has
because
just
I
a
can
bit.
tell because I'm okay, it's got a little bit of bubbles on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I love about it.
I can't exactly remember the name,
Riscotto.
Riscotto.
Yeah.
That's
I think they
the
call it
red one.
Yeah, red Riscotto.
Because this one's the sweet rosé, but
They actually
it
sell
tastes
this
just
at,
like that one.
They sell it at Olive Garden, so that's like their popular one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some nice old red Riscotto.
It costs the same, too, for 1 cup as for the whole bottle at Olive Garden.
That makes no sense.
I know. But it's delicious.
Yeah, it's my favorite. So at what age did you start or really just like get into music and maybe like found out that this is what I want to do?
Well, I wouldn't say started. I got gifted a drum set whenever I was 4 years old. And, you know, being 4 years old, I didn't know, like, what it was. I just knew, like, I could hit it. So it didn't really last me probably longer than a good 3-4 months before, like, all of the heads were busted in. Yeah, because I was just hitting it. I didn't really understand what rhythm was or whatever. So I was just like, oh, like, this is cool. It wasn't until later on, probably whenever I was about 9 or 10 years old, I started listening a lot more to, like, heavy metal bands. I listened to heavy metal and like screamo music actually a lot whenever I was younger. Like that was by far my you know what I mean? Like everyone has that. Everyone's got that time.
Right.
And for me, I remember one of my favorite, I would probably say still to this day, one of my favorite bands of all time is Slipknot.
Okay.
And this is back whenever Joey Jordison was playing on Slipknot, and just the way that I remember seeing the very first time I saw him have 2 kicks, like 2 bass drums, and he was playing like so fast with his feet. I immediately knew, I was like, that's dope. Like that's really cool.
That's different.
And yeah, you know, like that's different. Like I didn't even know that you could do that. And so there was actually probably a year where I would air drum in my parents' room while having some Slipknot play in the background or probably some Nickelback or something, you know what I mean? Whatever my mom and pops were listening to at the time.
Right.
And I would genuinely just sit at that desk in office and just do that for hours. And then it wasn't until probably around, I was like 11 or 12 whenever I got gifted my newest or like a new updated drum kit. And now that I kind of understood like, okay, this is what rhythm is, this is what keeping a beat is, I was like, yo, like, I want to start actually learning how to play the drums. And this is hilarious. I got sent to get drum lessons. Didn't last in there for more than a month.
Dang.
I didn't. And it was nothing against the teacher, like nothing at all. I still remember his name to this day. His name was Chris, dope dude. But I just remembered I guess I was just very stubborn-minded at the time because I didn't want to learn from him.
Like music's supposed to be free, and you felt like they were telling you what to do.
I was just like, I'm like technicality, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like just let me play it, like bro, you know what I'm saying? Let me just hit it, you know. And so I did not last long in there, but for probably about the next 2 or 3 years, I started playing the drums. I was actually in my youth church group, like I was a drummer in there, so about every single Wednesday I would go over there, play the drums and everything, and it was probably around, I want to say it was around my freshman year of high school, whenever I realized that I would genuinely love to like take music a little bit more serious or just have it a lot more in my life. Because up until that point, I really only played the drums. But I feel like at that point I played the drums enough to where I was like, okay, like I can, you know, like I can keep a beat and everything. And I found this app on my phone and it was called Drum Pads 24. And basically it was just 6 to like 9 pads just like laid out. And then you could like loop it or press it and it would make a sound almost like an actual drum kit, but it had like actual sounds and like melodies and everything on there. Right. So I would just like loop that, just have like a 4 or 5 count going. And then I would just be playing the drums freestyle, like with my fingers. And I'm like, dude, like this is so fun. Good. You know what I mean? Like this sounds dope. Like this is really cool. And it wasn't until I met my homie Landon, whenever I was probably a sophomore, and I would just do that like in his car. I would just make these freestyle beats just on the fly and he would just freestyle, and we would be, and you know, we would smoke and everything, right, and then once the smoke is activated, we would be in there for like 2 hours just doing it, just going, you know. But it wasn't until he introduced me to a homie named D-Mud, and D-Mud was the very first person that I knew that had an actual like DAW, which is like Logic, you know, Fruity Loops, all of that. And I remember the very first night he showed me that, and he was like, yeah, bro, like have fun, like just mess around with it. It felt like I was trying to operate a submarine.
Right.
You know, compared to just being like, I could just hit this button 4 times and then just hit this however many times.
It's like way more to it.
Yeah, I was like, drag what? Where? Like, what does that even
It's a
mean?
metronome.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? But I just kind of persevered, and I really knew that it was something that I wanted to do. And then the ultimate deciding factor was that whenever I was doing that, I was working through D-Mud's crib and just trying to get better, you know, make something because I could make something over my phone that I thought was cool, but making something on the laptop that I thought was cool was like rocket science.
And a whole song too.
Yeah, you know, like
apps, so you can only do so much.
Yeah, so being able to having to construct, sequence, then put it all together, it was a lot. Like it was just a completely different world. So the very first time I made a beat that I actually liked, I was like, yo, like, okay, cool, like making progress. And that wasn't until probably a good like 2 months, 3 months after until I met D-Mud. But the deciding factor that made me realize that, okay, I can take this thing as far as I want it to go, is I was watching this video of Southside, the producer or main producer from 808 Mafia, and he cooked up this beat, dude, in like 6 minutes. Start to finish, just like this there, blah, blah, blah. And this man looked at the camera and he said 35,000 in 6 minutes. Dang. I looked at my phone screen and I literally went back like twice. And I said, did he just say $35,000? And I was like, that's how much people can like buy these beats for?
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's a lot.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
1 6-minute beat.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, like that's really dope. And then I started finding out that people were paying like $500,000 for a Timbaland beat in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like in the 90s, dude. I was like, $500,000 for probably 20, 30 minutes of work? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, who would not want to do that?
Yeah, it's Timbaland.
Yeah, you know, so basically ever since then, I just decided to really just push forward, just try to still get better every day. And, you know, there's a dream to pursue now, for sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So from you transitioning to, like, drumming and, like, rock, what were you listening to that really, like, put you on to, like, want to do beats and, like, mainly, like, hip-hop? Or in that category, at least.
Man, it was for sure... And it makes me sad every single time I say his name, dude. But it was for sure Mac Miller, bro.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
The very first... Because I was going through that whole little phase. And I'm pretty sure one of the very first song that I heard by him was actually the song that made me be like, yo, like... Is this what like hip hop and like rap music is kind of sounding like nowadays, or whatever? It was loud. I like my music real loud. Like, yeah, you know, I heard that and I was like, this is tight. Like, this is really tight. And then I found Donald Trump, and then later on it was like Blue Side Park, and you know, all of that. And I want to say it was primarily him. I was always a fan. Like, even whenever I was before finding more of Mac Miller, I was always a fan of Lil Wayne. My sister would always play him and everything.
His
like,
lyrics are just like top notch.
You know,
sometimes
there's still lyrics to this day that I'm like
day.
Still figuring out from whenever I first heard them, like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's been probably like every episode that like someone said that. We talked about
my first page right here is page 1, chapter 1, verse motherfucking 1. And that's it. That's all that's on my first page. Mm-hmm. And I just remember hearing that as a kid, and that just always stuck with me, and then it just goes off after that.
Nah, he was definitely in my top for sure as well. But, you know, like we kind of just said, whose wasn't? You know what I mean? Whose list wasn't he really on, even whenever you're a kid? Yeah.
It's funny that you said Mac Miller, because I remember you had posted something, and you're like, who are you listening to right now? And that was me that had said Mac Miller,
Yeah.
That was me that had said that. I'm like,
that's right.
What? So it's crazy you said that now.
Yep. Yeah.
What about as far as like producers? Like, who are your top like favorite producers?
Now this is where I feel like I can just keep on going.
Right.
Because I think at the end of the day, I more so have taken certain things from like a select number of producers. I don't necessarily think that I have a favorite. If anything, this is actually kind of a crazy thing. I don't really have a favorite nothing. I really don't. I feel like I just have favorite things in just certain categories. But if you were to be like, who's your favorite artist? I'd be like, bro.
Yeah, so broad.
You know what I mean? Just be like, I couldn't tell you that.
Right.
But if I were to say, as far as it goes for more of like trap and like rap music, definitely Metro and Southside for sure. Like those guys have been.
I love Metro.
I've literally been listening to their music for also about the last like 5, 6, 8 years of my life.
Like,
you know, they've been around for so long. As far as like boom bap and more of just like the soulful type of stuff, definitely The Alchemist, 1000% Ninth Wonder. As far as it goes for more of like that boom bappy style, and I would also say Mac. Like I love Mac as a producer.
Oh yeah, he's
talented. His whole alias is just calling himself Larry Fisherman.
Oh yeah.
As a producer, I had no idea.
Right.
For the longest time, I was just like, damn, like this dude Larry Fisherman is producing a lot of Mac music. And then I finally realized, like, nah, dude, like it's just another alias. So I was just like, man,
that's fine.
I was like, that's the same thing with Tyler too, and Tyler's production as well.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, I've also been, like, I was very inspired by a lot of that too, because I like different. I like when things are not exactly. I like when things don't go completely against the grain, but it's almost like it's like halting.
Like
it.
you
Like,
can't look away. Like you just have to enjoy
like, there's
it.
friction there where it's still keeping the same. It's keeping the same systematic like strategy of like what is used to like make a beat and the certain sounds that are like popular nowadays, but also making it your own.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I feel like as a producer, like that's the only way that you're really going to
your own twist to it.
Especially nowadays with the whole like free loop packs and stuff like that. Like people are getting those same loops and like kind of just sticking. Yeah, they're not making it their own. You know.
Yeah.
Which is another whole thing that we can get onto with the loops too, because like I actually ran into a problem where I used one of those free loop packs and did a beat and like submitted it through. I just put it on like DistroKid, so it's like through that you know engine or whatever.
Right.
Some dude like messaged me and was like, "Hey, I use that same beat and now it's not letting me post it on YouTube. It's like claiming that you own it." I'm like, "Well, that's what I paid for."
now.
He like sucks.
Yeah, literally. I don't think I've messaged him back.
Nah, the truth is, as far as like loops and samples go, the same loop and sample that you've probably heard in some of the most popular records has probably been used over a good 100, 200 times by people that you've just never heard. But the honest to God truth is like that's just the way it goes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes the same exact loop that like you might use, it just may not hit, but you know, it just may hit for somebody else. Like it's just you know, there really is no way of telling.
I mean, there's even some that like same loop, different songs, but both of them are still good. Like, okay, I saw they used that one, that's nice. I saw they used that one, that's pretty nice.
And that's what makes it cool, though. You know, whenever you're able to see, like, oh, okay, like this is like a completely different route that you had over the loop or sample.
Do you ever do any of the like? I know like Kenny Beats, he does like the challenges where like people can join in and like make their own beat, or like he puts a sample and they do their own. You ever do any of that?
Man, I'm gonna be real with you. I never have.
No.
I really feel like it would be cool. I just haven't.
It's hard.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I haven't put myself like just in that position. I don't think that I necessarily watch like the streams enough, or maybe like keep up to date with them, or like Kenny Beats, or like just those types of guys enough to know about some of those challenges. But I'm definitely trying to start getting a lot more just like on top of that, because it's just
it's a lot of exposure too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like any way to expose yourself is pretty much what's a good thing to happen right now.
Right.
You know.
Heck yeah. And then like she was showing me like all like on Spotify like all your music and stuff, which is pretty like cool to me, because as a producer myself, I feel like I have a hard time of like actually releasing my music and putting it out. And like for you to like just have a full catalog already on there, like of your beats, like I commend you on that. Big time. So.
Thank you. It's taken a long time though, dude.
Right.
You know, I feel like as a producer, that is such a common theme that a lot of producers, and especially people who don't necessarily they don't necessarily use their vocals a lot.
Right.
You know, because something that I realized even with my own catalog as well is that clearly my most popular songs are the ones with vocals on them.
That was
You know,
gonna be one
like
of my
it's
questions.
because it's just a completed song. Like
Yeah.
one thing is listening to a beat or maybe like having it in the background or whatever. That's one thing, but that doesn't cater necessarily to every single person.
True.
Some people absolutely need a voice, or like
Oh,
they care
yeah.
more about the message than the beat, or like
Right.
they care more about the lyrics than the sound frequencies, and you know, so it kind of just definitely goes up and down. But no, the Wonderful Beat Tape series was a cool series, man. I really just kind of sat there one day and I was like, bro, you have over like 1,000 beats on your laptop. The worst that you could do is just let somebody else hear them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best way
You know
to
what
do it.
I mean? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? And
Right.
especially, you know, the crazy thing is that I've actually never really had somebody like over Instagram yet anyway comments on a video of like a beat or like a song that like was released and been like trash or like garbage, you know, like
Right.
this shit is
Well,
terrible.
that's really good because
You
a lot of
know?
people have negative things to say.
You know,
so.
but for the very first time, it happened because
Oh.
I was running this ad on like the birthday recap video, and it was playing Anita off of the Pretty Cozy tape in the
didn't like
background.
Anita?
And the homie like comments on it, and he was like trash.
What?
Right. But
I
listen,
love Anita.
But listen. I had no idea who this dude was. It was an ad, so obviously, like, this was just some random person, probably across the world,
a clout
perhaps.
chaser.
Maybe, like,
Satan.
you know, maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just saw the comment, and I just started laughing, dude, because I was just like, because first of all, I went to his page, and I'm not trying to make fun of the guy, but this was like a grown man, like a grown man, you know what I mean? Like, definitely like 40s. Probably 50. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're probably not going to like this because it is perhaps out of your time zone.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's probably just not what you're
not
used
his
to.
genre anymore.
Yeah, and then I saw that he like made music too.
Oh.
And let's just say like I peeped a couple of his videos where he was showing some of it, and I just said, I understand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I kept it at. I was just like, dude.
That's awesome.
I was just like, dude, I understand.
That's the best way to deal with negativity
Blessings,
is
you
just
know?
try and see the other person's point of view. Once you do, you're like, oh, I see why you're like that now.
Yeah, you know, and I don't even if it was like flooding, you know, I still to this day like don't think that I would just get upset over something
Yeah.
like that, you know, because I could sit here all day and sound like the biggest toughest dude through a comment.
True.
Yeah.
You know, like you really could, but it's like, when do you ever like see somebody like dropping a song or like being at a concert, and unless the actual performer himself is just like not good towards the audience, or if his music is just, if it's not well set up, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be, when are you ever at a show and somebody's like, you're trash,
Right.
and the artist is actually able to like hear them?
Right.
Or just be like walking straight up to them and be like, bro, your set sucked. You know, like people aren't doing that. You know what I mean? So that's
That
why I
hurts.
said I read it and I just laughed because I was just
Yeah.
like, all right, bro. Like, I understand. I feel you. Like, okay, cool.
The internet haters and trolls.
I'm like, all right then.
So what made you pick the name Pretty Dim?
Well, the name Pretty Dim was actually my second producer name that I ever chose. And I'm definitely not about to tell you what my first producer name was. Because that name was just, I think about it now and I'm just like, man, that was an atrocious name.
Yeah.
Just, And I really do think that it was dope to be able to have almost like a different persona. You know, like A$AP Rocky is A$AP Rocky, but he's also Pretty Flacco.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I thought of something that it's like, okay, my name is so-and-so, but it would be really cool to be known as like a both first, last name type of name as far as a producer goes. And this is going to sound really funny, but it's just the truth. So pretty much throughout my whole entire life, especially by like coaches, like other just dudes that I was playing sports with, especially in high school, you know, I got called pretty boy, like a lot. And I just kind of thought, and I was like, okay, well, I don't want to call myself pretty boy, because then that would by far be like the most corniest name that I probably could think of. But I was like, okay, well, what if I just stuck with Pretty, but maybe just kept the last name different? So I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, and at the time in my life, I remember I wasn't in this period of like darkness where I wasn't like happy, or I wasn't, like I wasn't depressed, but I also wasn't ecstatic, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't in a great headspace, but I wasn't in a terrible one. So it kind of just made me think, well, whenever you have like those adjustable lights where you can like not turn them off or on, but like kind of put them like right there in the middle, dim them a little bit. I'm kind of like right there, like in that gray area. So I was like, Pretty Dim.
That's a cool name, though.
And I was like, cool. I was like, I'll try it. And then it's pretty much just stuck ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long have you like gone like under that name?
Probably, I want to say maybe a good 6 or 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Probably around that time. Because I didn't keep that first one for very long. I also wasn't really working with a whole lot of people whenever I was using that name. I probably only worked with like 2 people ever. And I was lucky enough to get like 1 song on SoundCloud with one of these dudes. But yeah, let's just say that changed very quickly.
That was going to bring me to my next question. Like, what's the importance of like working with, your circle, your people around you that are, actually trying, and maybe you hear them and you're like, hey, that actually sounds good. Let's do something. Like, what's the...
I think that especially really with any type of creative field, but especially with music, you have to be able to surround yourself with people who maybe not be making the same type of sonics as you are, as in like maybe the same genre, but if you are involved in music and you are not surrounded by people who are genuinely trying to chase this music thing, then it's just you're only gonna progress as far as you let yourself.
Right.
Like you shouldn't just be inspired by a mainstream artist. You got to be inspired by your people, like the people that you surround yourself with. And that's why, like, I'm so thankful that, like, the people that I'm rocking with and this little team and, North, Jizo, and I have my other homie, Jay Vasquez, Jalen Deshawn, like, all of these guys that I've been
They're
working
so motivated.
with. Dude, they've been doing this, if damn near probably as long as me, if not longer than me, So it's like, I like to see consistency. I like to see the drive. I like to be able to, because it's like one thing is being talented, but it's like if you're not disciplined, then it honestly doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You could be the most talented person in the world, but you're not just going to become automatically talented at something on the very first try.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it doesn't matter. Like if we were to take guys like LeBron, who just broke the record.
Yeah.
Like he's been playing in this game for 20 years, still playing like he was trying to break the record. And look what he did, though.
That's amazing.
Same thing with Kobe, too. Like Kobe was he's in that debate of one of the greatest players of all time. Mm-hmm. But it's like if you look at his work ethic,
right.
If you look at what he had to do get there, it's just like, okay, well, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Drake, too. Like, a lot of people say that, like, Drake is the best. Not everybody, you know what I mean? But if you just look back on the last whole 10, 12 years, he's probably by far one of the most consistent artists.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Of our time.
It's interesting you say that, too, because I seen a video. It was like his bodyguard. He was being interviewed, and they asked him about, like, what was it like working around him? He's like, I mean, you see a lot of the party lifestyle stuff, but he's like, honestly, he's like, the guys that he has around him are like probably some of the most motivating guys ever. And he's like, that's why he's the way he is, because he wants to constantly keep working, and he has to have that around him, or else like he's gonna be fucking around.
Just bring you down.
Yeah, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta be able to have the people that you are working the most with or the most around to be able to like keep you in check, like be able to tell you, not just tell you it's good, but be able to tell you it's not.
Right. True.
That's a very huge thing, you know, like you got to be able
not
to
a yes
build,
man.
Yeah, like you got to be able to build that boundary with your people to be like, look, bro, if there's something that you think I should change or you think that could be better, you got to let me know.
Right.
Because how good do you expect somebody to get if you just tell them that you like all of their shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're never gonna work on
yeah,
getting
like
better if you do.
they're just gonna keep on thinking that they're making hit after hit after hit after hit, and it's like in reality, that's just not how it goes.
Right.
You know, it might seem like all of these mainstream artists. If I'm just taking a big example again, like Drake, if we're gonna take like all of these hits that he's had, could you imagine all of the 80 to 100 other songs he probably had to make just to get to that one?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where they did it, they said that don't put that on there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like don't do that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like you need that around you, dude. You need to be able to handle the truth. Another thing that I also feel like in this type of field, you got to be able to handle, especially as a producer, you got to be able to handle criticism. And you got to be able to hear the word no or not that one and just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You know, because I can definitely say like there was a period of time where if somebody said that, or like this one thing was off, or like this one thing they didn't like, or could you change that? Could you do this? My just pride and ego would immediately just get Mike Tyson left there, you know, and it would just be, I would just immediately think like, okay, well then the whole beat's trash, or like the whole thing is bad. And it's like, no, like it's just a part of the process. Like you have to be able to just add, but also subtract, you know, like that's just simple math. And really music is a lot of math.
Oh yeah.
Straight up. True. There's so much math in music.
Yeah, I hate math too. Fuck.
The timing, everything.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot that goes into it, man.
So what do you do when you're not making music? Like, what's your hobbies? What do you do for fun?
I definitely love to work out. I had a little hiatus for sure, where I wasn't exactly working out as much as I would have liked to have been. But I just recently started getting back up onto it, and you know, it's a good feeling. Yeah. Being able to progress yourself in a physical manner, it just feels great. And also, like you said, I like to eat. So therefore, like whenever I know that I'm working out pretty consistently and just I'm able to eat
you gotta
so
that.
much more. And you know, besides working out, I like to write. I think for the most part, I just like to write, and not necessarily stories, but more so just like things. It's like throughout my day. I feel like it's a very, I feel like it's a very important thing to be able to manifest, and maybe just perhaps it's just a way of releasing,
organize sometimes.
Yeah, like just put some things down, jot some things down. I feel like it's very healthy for your mind being able
and
just
your paper's gonna be there, but your phone could die.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So just to be able to write it down, it's good. It's good for the brain. It's good for the soul. I like to design. I've made a couple of cover arts, like the Steez cover art. I did like little bitty things on that. There's like a single or two that my homie Camo, he just dropped, and I did like a cover art for him. And just recently, this is actually hilarious. I'm surprised that I didn't mention this earlier. But ever since I was a kid, I've actually loved movies. So I am a very huge movie buff. I love me a good movie. Not necessarily, I mean, I fell in love with movies because of my dad. My dad got me into movies at a very young age. But he didn't necessarily teach me about, like, the plot of the movie. Oh, like, this blah, blah, blah means that. He told me, you know, like, he told me a lot more about, like, the cinematography and how, like, to understand and really see, like, all of this was shot through a lens, you know, and like the certain angles that, like, if an angle can captivate me, like, that's my shit right there. Like, if I'm watching a movie and I see a certain angle come up, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, that's how I feel a lot about Quentin Tarantino movies. Like, I'm just like, damn, every time, like, I know he's done some shitty things,
let me say it
but
right now, dude.
He makes amazing movies. Like Inglourious Bastards, Django. Django is one of my most favorite movies.
Same.
And that is a crazy movie, dude. I already know for a fact, then y'all know about the whole Leonardo DiCaprio scene.
Oh yeah.
He actually cut himself and he kept going with it.
I found out about that, and I was just like, see, this is why you got to put Leo up there.
Yeah.
You really do. At first I thought he actually smeared it his
On
own
her
blood
face.
like on her face.
Yeah.
And I later found out that like they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like that would just be a lot. But they took the idea that he had and ran with it though.
Right.
You know, and I was at first whenever I first saw it, I was like, wait, you mean to tell me that man just rubbed his? I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh my gosh.
It's intense.
no, but for sure Quentin is up there. So recently, that brings me back to my original point. So recently, I actually just got gifted a camera. So I'm starting to work a lot more with just like shooting videos, doing a lot more photography. That's kind of a completely different lane that I'm
Yeah,
trying
so you
to go
shooting
down.
reels like beat breakdowns and stuff like that, which is they look really nice. So
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'm learning. You know what I mean. I obviously music is my more comfortable field, but with everything that's going on nowadays with our social media, visuals is a very important
Yeah,
thing.
it's not just music
It's
anymore. It's
not.
what else
You
you have to
can't
go
just-
with
Or
it.
just
You
a
can't-
picture.
Yeah, like you can't just have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to be able to let the people like see your face, like know who is behind a voice, or like how it's even being done, or even just like a vibe type of video, just like going
Yeah.
along with it. It brings. It brings more attention. It brings the people in because as soon as people are able to start like putting a face to your music, that's whenever I feel like a lot of things start to change. For
and
it,
it's more
for
valid
sure.
for you because now you're learning a whole other aspect of it all. And
Yeah,
kind of challenging yourself as well.
absolutely. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
But whenever I say like one thing I thought was being able to have storage on my laptop for
yeah.
like just music and beats. I could probably have like maybe 50 to 100 beats and it'd be like, oh, like 400 and something megabytes of space. I make
Dang.
1 3-minute video and it's like damn near a gigabyte.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't even know how this works or like how that.
Yeah.
But I'm working. I'm working with it, man.
What kind of camera is it that you got?
It's a Sony EV-Z10, so it's a little bit more of like a vlog camera.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's 4K. It's a lot better for like the best way that I could put it. It's that it's a lot better for like vlogging.
Yeah.
A lot more like kind of up close shots and everything, but it still looks really nice.
Yeah.
Like any type of camera that's like a Sony camera
Dude, yeah, those are
is gonna be. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Yeah.
yeah, those are good. The picture looks really good too. So
Thank you, man.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I would say that's probably
That's
my
a lot of stuff that
that's
you
my
do in your free
tops.
time.
That's my tops right there. I try to keep myself busy. I feel like it's very important. I used to be on this period where I just kind of felt like I was really just being lazy.
Yeah.
And whenever you just kind of have so many things that just end up just either smacking you across the face or enough reality checks where you're just like, you should probably stop.
Yeah.
You should probably listen to that voice then,
Right.
So over like the last year or two, man, yeah, I've really, really tried to just make myself a lot busier and just get more involved in a lot of different things because I never want to put myself in a box.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't want to ever be known for just like one thing.
Right.
If I start off being known for one thing, that's cool, but it's like I don't want that to all there be to me.
Right.
Like, oh shoot, new producer, and it's just like, no, you know what I mean? Like,
There's more to it.
now I want there to
Not
be
just a producer.
I want there to be a lot more to it.
Yeah.
I want to be like multifaceted and like multi-talented. I don't want to just be talented at necessarily just one thing.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you stretch yourself thin whenever you do that though? Like you're like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this for you, and then you're like, oh crap, I don't know if I can do all that right away.
My big thing is that I've tried really hard to learn just a lot about balance, not even just with the things that you do as a person, but really just the things that you can handle.
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to have most importantly, you got to be able to have that reality check with yourself. So that's why you could say like I probably could have tried to pick up a camera like a few years ago and start learning it. But at the time, like I was so devoted to music. I still am devoted to music. So that's why I'm saying like this whole dynamic with me trying to learn the camera and everything, it's different. It's very interesting because I'm over here like, like, what does this even mean? Like, what does this do? And I'm sitting over here and I look at my laptop and I can tell you every single frequency count for an EQ, And I definitely do think that I wear myself pretty thin sometimes, but I think also, like I said, I was lazy at one point. So now it's just time to more so push myself.
Yeah.
And while I'm young, especially
Right.
while I'm young, because I'm not going to be this age forever.
True.
I'm going to get older at some point.
Get more
and it's
tired.
like,
Too,
and then what? Like, I'm going to be like 35, 40 years old, and I'm going to still try to do like 3 or 4 things or learn 3 or 4 things at one time.
Yeah.
Maybe. It just may not be as physically demanding. You know what I mean? But while I'm young, yeah, for sure. I think it's important that you kind of wear yourself thin. Because now is kind of like the time that you should be able to.
It's like a breaking point.
Yeah,
now or never.
Exactly. Like you're only in your 20s once.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like, I even went through times like that and still go through times like that where I get lazy or I get like unproductive or uncreative, where I get a spot where sometimes where I sit down, I feel like I want to do music, I sit down and it's just not coming out, and I'm like, and then you just got to stop. Like, and it's important to do that too. Sometimes just be like, all right, let me stop right here. It's a good thing that there's other avenues too that you can take it and be like, okay, let me go work on this video, or let me go do some graphic design.
And I think that's actually another huge reason as well. I like how you said that, because you can definitely get tired of it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've always loved making music.
Right.
Because I would just be lying. I've definitely had my moments where I was just at that laptop and I was like, bro, I have shit.
Clicking through the different sounds.
Yeah, I'm just
find
like,
that one right snare.
Like, it's just like, dude, I have nothing
Yeah.
right now. And that's whenever I believe you just kind of have to be consistent. Consistency beats everything. As long as you at least just try.
Right.
It's like, if something doesn't come to mind, like, at least you tried. You know what I mean? Like, you pushed yourself. Like, all of the greats have their off days.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are. You're going to have an off day, bro. Cool. You made 30 beats one day and you made 3. Boo-hoo. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be it's not the end of the world, man.
Right.
But as somebody, whenever you're so invested in a field, yeah, it kind of sucks. Because, like, whenever you lose motivation, you kind of feel like you're losing a sense of life. Especially if you're, like, almost devoting your life, or you see this certain thing in your life so much. Whenever you kind of start to lose motivation with that passion of yours, it kind of starts to demote all of the motivation of everything else in your life.
Yeah.
It does, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to be able to just understand that and, like, realize those types of things.
Yeah.
Because then, if you just, like, keep on letting yourself get unmotivated, then you may never make a beat again, or you may never make anything again. So.
Or life just gets you.
It just does, man. It really does. Like, there's, like, at the end of the day, life is always going to hit you.
Right.
Like I said, it's always going to be a reality check.
But I feel like that kind of gives you an opportunity to step back and be like, what else could I try? Like, what if this might not be my passion and I try other things and I love something else? Like, so when you have the lazy moments, like, you feel lazy about what you're doing, but then get out of your zone and try other things you wouldn't try, and you might love it. You might be remotivated again.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge reason why. Because I'll just go ahead and say it, but I got gifted the camera from my folks for Christmas, and the reason why one of the biggest reasons why I feel like I even got it is because it was genuinely the only thing I even asked for. Because I didn't, like, they'd asked me probably a good, like, 3-4 weeks in a row. This was like a week before Christmas even came, and they were like, dude, like, they were like, we're gonna be real with you, we don't got nothing for you, just because you haven't told us what you wanted, and we've been asking. And I told myself, like, well, I want something that I know that I'll be able to either use for music or for something that's just going to help me invest my time, like, into my career, or something that's just going to better me in some shape or form. And I was like, you know what? I'll just ask for a camera. And I was like, a camera would be cool. And then I opened up that box and I was like, this is a lot more than what I was bargaining for. But
you're like, yay, Christmas.
Yeah, I was like, word, okay, this is dope.
Heck yeah.
So I completely agree with that, though. You got to be able to just branch out and try new things, because, yeah, dude, you could be great at one thing, but it can get stagnant, bro. It really can. That's why you got to be able to find those other avenues, those other ways to be able to express yourself. It's a very important thing, for sure. For sure.
So if we listen to the album Pretty Cozy, when would we hear your voice?
Yeah,
is there like a specific instance that you like that stands out to you in that album that you're just like, damn?
He said it like you could hear it throughout some of the songs in there.
Yeah, but I'm like, when? I need to know when.
So
I want to hear it.
I'm actually gonna. This is funny. So on the first half of Invented You, Every single ad lib that you hear is me.
Okay.
Dang.
So
We were just listening to that.
yeah. So
That's,
next time,
honestly, that's probably like my favorite song.
Dude.
I love the beat.
thank you, bro.
And I was telling her too, it reminds me of a Cardo beat. Like that
Oh
song,
yeah,
like,
dude! Shout out Cardo too.
Do you like
I
Cardo?
love Cardo, man.
Dude.
I love like all them boys like Larry and like Larry June and all those homies too. Like I love that whole type of sound.
Right.
Like,
that era
sound
too,
is-
like Wiz Khalifa and fucking
Oh,
Mac
Wiz,
Miller,
bro.
ASAP, like just,
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude.
that's
like,
what got me on to producing. I was like listening to this, like I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that.
Hell yeah.
But
dude.
crazy story too, because I was telling her about that. I actually met Carter one time, like by accident. It was at an ASAP Rocky show, like 2013, and I was with my homeboys. After the show, we were waiting by the bus to see if like they would walk by, because we were right like it was at the House of Blues, so they parked like the bus like right behind there, and like the parking lot's right there.
Okay, word.
So we're walking by, like, hey, there's a tour bus. Like, let's just stay around a little bit, see if we see anybody.
Mhm.
And at that time, like, ASAP Rocky was just blowing up, and then the whole ASAP, I'm like, I don't think Ferg had even blown up yet.
Right.
So like they were actually walking around outside, like signing people's autographs. We're like, oh look, that's them. So we went up, and Yams was there. He was walking around.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't go up and talk to him because he seemed like pretty intimidating.
Right.
Like, short guy, just
Mhm.
had a bottle of Hennessy.
Right.
But there's a guy standing next to him, and I told my friend, I was like, yo, that looks like Cardo. Like it looks like him. And he's like, why would Cardo be with ASAP? Like he's producing for Wiz. Like.
Mm-hmm.
So we went up and asked him. He's like, "Yeah, I'm him," and like got my ticket signed by him. Like
That's sick,
chopped it
bro.
up a little bit. Yeah, dude. It was like honestly, it inspired me a lot. I was like, okay. Like I need.
That's
something.
really tight, bro. Now, obviously, my producer, big. I didn't meet this guy, but since I've been talking about him so much, Southside from 808 Mafia. I remember I was at my very first South by Southwest. And while we were out there, we were just like, dude, like, let's just go to 6th Street. You know, this is some of our first times here. Like, we've never been. Within 2 blocks of, like, getting right up on 6th Street, I just, like, turn around, and I shit you not, he was, like, right here.
Dang.
Like, but he was walking, like, really fast, like, kind of, like, nudging by people. And I knew who he was. So, like, I just turned around, and I was just, like, I just, like, froze, because I was like, oh, my God. Like, I was just like, did I just see him? Like, what? I was like, what is he doing here? I was like, what is happening? So I just, like, looked, and yeah, dude, like, it was really him.
You
And
didn't tell what's up?
Nah, I mean, I didn't want to be that dude to be like, Southside.
Yeah, if he's walking
Southside.
fast,
You know what I
then-
mean? I didn't want to chase him. Like, I kind of knew, like, okay, if he's moving that fast, he's probably moving for a reason.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
He's
probably,
pretty intimidating guy too. So.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And, like, he was a little bit bigger in person for sure
real?
compared to, like, what I saw on videos beforehand. I saw him in person, and we were about the same height and definitely bigger shoulders than me, that's for sure. So I was just like, oh, damn. I was
Yeah,
like,
see, if
word.
it wasn't for my homeboy like being at that show, like I probably would not have gone up and said what's up to
Damn.
Cardo.
Shout out to the homie then,
Yeah,
man.
for real. Because I'm like pretty extroverted. Like so, or is it introvert, extrovert?
Introverted,
Yeah.
I believe. Extroverted is like whenever you're like, hey, what's
Outgoing.
up? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah,
That's me.
I'm not
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
what's up? You know, for sure.
That's dope. But going back on Pretty Cozy with North, which is phenomenal.
Yeah,
is it,
Thank you,
is
bro.
it
so
just
amazing.
like a EP or is it an album?
I would call it an EP.
EP?
Now, I think, if anything, it could be called either or, but I'm technical whenever it comes to like EPs,
Right.
LPs, and albums, because in the technical stances, they really just go by the numbers, and that's kind of how you can categorize like which one is an EP, which one is an LP, because it goes basically like single, EP, album, and then LP, and LP just stands for long play.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so then it's like an EP, like, you know, it's usually categorized as probably anywhere between like 6 to like 8 songs. And then I would say like an album, it's probably considered anywhere between like 9 to 12. Like that could probably be like a little nice size album. But it could be anywhere between like 12 to like 17 songs. And then an LP would just be longer than that. Basically, like if you have 20... 24, 25 songs, like, first of all, damn.
That'd
but
be a
then,
lot.
Yeah, but then second of all, that's why it's called LP, just because it's a longer play. So I would say it's kind of right there on the cusp of being like an EP and like or an album. I think it can go either way.
I think so too.
But I also know that he brought up that we're aiming for a cool little deluxe.
Oh yeah.
So I will say that is definitely kind of like in like the back works right now for sure. Cause we kind of, we definitely made some other stuff like besides those songs. And we just thought like, dude, we should just pretty much,
put it out.
Maybe see what's up about like a deluxe or something. So
Is it
I
just
want
gonna
to
be
hear more.
new, like new songs, or is this still gonna be like the same songs remixed, or?
It'll probably be some new pieces.
Okay, okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we did end up just choosing one. Now this is okay, not to put too much game or anything, but this is what we originally thought of. Excuse me. This is what we originally thought of for Anita. We were like, dude, what if Anita was like a 7-minute long, like just straight up, what is that word? Like where it's just like so many rappers, just like it's like a cipher.
Oh,
Okay.
Basically,
Yeah.
we were like, bro, like what if we just like turned Anita like into a cipher and just
That'd
like
be
pretty
cool.
much had the beat going for. We could even have some beat changes, whatever. And we thought about that, and we were just like, yeah, like that's dope. But whenever it kind of came down to a lot of like the timing and everything like that, we were like, okay, it's gonna be pretty interesting trying to get like 5, 6, 8 other artists on like this one song. Because this is another thing that I've realized, especially hanging out with like the people that I got on my team, as well as just like other people that I've been working with that are more of like the hip hop or like rappers, you could say. It's a sport, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it really is. I don't care what anybody says. Music is a sport. You can sit there and want to collaborate. You can want to make something with somebody else. You can want to make beautiful pieces of music with other people. That's a part of the process for sure. But I know for a fact, like, you're going to be, you want to be the one that shines the most. It doesn't matter what your part is. Like you want to, okay, there was 3 engineers like on the song. Cool. I'm going to make sure I mix this bitch the best on the parts that I'm on it. If I'm me being a producer, if I'm working with like 2 or 3 other producers on one song, I want the shit that I'm going to do to it to be the most crucial part or the best part. You know what I mean? So imagine how it is whenever you are using your voice with words. Whenever I tell you, it's like I love my dogs, bro. I do. But because I'm not necessarily a rapper, like I don't think about putting my vocals on stuff a lot. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I haven't, but I just don't think about it like that. So for me, it's like, if I'm like making this beat, it's a lot more of like the collaborative effort. It's the contribution. It's what you can turn better as far as the production goes. But whenever it comes to some of my dogs, dude, I just know it's going to be an interesting day whenever we all sit in the studio together and it's just like one verse after another because everybody's going to want to go last.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everybody's going to want to go last. Just that way they can try to have the best verse.
Right.
Like that's just how it goes. So it's... Man,
I feel like in that case you should do like a hardcore rager beat just to get everyone just even more pumped up and be like, all right, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, dude.
What? Steez would be pretty tight. Like, I know it's a short song, but I mean, making it long and having like I can hear people like flowing on it pretty good.
Yeah, dude. Steez is also a cool track. Shout out to my homegirl Ebo, man.
Oh, yeah, Ebo.
Love her to death, dude. She is a very wonderful, like beautiful soul, but she's also mad fucking talented, dude. She's so mad talented. Like she's so dope. I actually met her through North. So shout out to him because I'll even say it, like North put Steez together basically because he was the one that told Ebo because he heard the beat and he told Ebo, he was like, dude, you should really listen to this beat. Like it's got your name written all over for it. And I've heard her music beforehand too. So it's like I knew who she was and I told him, I was like, dude, straight up, yeah, like I think that she would cruise on this. And she ended up hitting me up or like I ended up sending the beat to him and he sent it over to her and pretty much we got like that first little snippet back like probably within like a week of him sending it over to her. She was like,
Yeah.
And I was just like, I told you.
That is a
bro.
good song.
I was just like, I told you, man. Like, her voice was going to sound so good on it. And
Oh, yeah.
it came together really nicely, bro.
Yeah.
That's one of them ones, like, okay. That's one of those ones where it's like, even my folks, like, even my parents and, like, my sisters, like, my family members like that song, too. Of course, like, because it's me, they're going to like all of my songs and everything. They're going to listen to them, but... You know, it's like whenever your family or like whenever your folks like a certain song of yours, like they gonna let you know.
Yeah.
You know, like they're gonna tell you like they really like it, and Steez is definitely one of them.
It's a vibe.
Whenever we were at the party and Steez was playing, my sister was singing it, my mom was singing it, like my brother-in-law. It was awesome, dude.
That's dope.
Hell yeah, man. But that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll jot that down.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Being credits on that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. I got you, bro.
So, what's your favorite place that you've traveled to, or like where do you really want to go?
Man, I would say probably my favorite place that I've been to so far. It's a very cut tie between California and Colorado. I know that they're complete polar opposites, and that's what kind of makes it funny. But I think I've always wanted to go to California, and I had so much hype around it whenever I first went, and that's why it was such an exciting time for me, like, to just go out there and really just experience California for the first time, because I didn't expect the weather to be like how it was.
Perfect, right? It's just
I
so
literally
perfect
could have.
there.
I woke up and could have been in a hoodie, sweats, like everything, or a tank top and some hoochie daddies, and I would have felt the exact same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the weather out there was so crazy. Like I loved it out there, but Colorado was a lot more of a wake up call for me, because that was my very first time like being a lot more like in the mountains, like with a lot more just like nature and the greenery and just a lot more just actual open vast mountains, and I loved it over there too. It was beautiful.
That's probably my favorite place too, is Colorado. I'm like, I want a mountain house in Colorado for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I went, I don't know if you heard of Green Mountain Falls, but it's just so beautiful there. It's like literally looks like a Hallmark card when you go there. And I went there whenever like it was the first snow of the year, so everything was just beautiful. And I want to move there for sure.
Yeah, Colorado is an absolutely beautiful place. As far as it goes of where I would probably like to travel, I would say I would love to go overseas. Now, I've always thought it would be cool to go overseas. I think it would be dope to go to Australia at some point. I really would just love to go to Europe in general. I've heard a lot of really cool things about
Amsterdam.
Europe. And
I heard it's cheap to travel around there too. Like,
yeah, because
The trains?
The trains.
I was gonna say my stepdad actually was just telling me, because it's so funny that we're bringing this up as well too. Because I was just having dinner with him, and I asked him, I was like, I know for a fact, talking to my mom, I was like, I know for a fact you haven't been overseas. I was like, have you? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I actually have, like twice. And he was telling me the exact same thing. Like, transportation over there is literally like you take one train here, one over there, long one over here. Like, it's pretty easy over there.
Yeah, I even seen like a map that showed like all the train systems, like the train. It's everywhere. And here it's like in America, it's like one here, one way over here on the other side.
It doesn't connect the country.
No, it don't connect like that for sure.
Dang, I don't know if y'all have seen Sicily, Italy. Oh my God, it's just so beautiful. Like, everything is built into nature, built in like there's just rocks everywhere. It's not like concrete. It's just everything is rocks and trees, and that's where I really want to go if I ever travel out of the United States. That'd be the first place.
I also think that it would just be a beautiful thing to travel in general. You know, I would love to see the world as much as it is, you know, because I do love Texas. I really do. I grew up here. Yeah. You know what I mean? But even whenever I was living in Arizona, I was like, wow, like this is such a culture shock. Like it was so different.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much because it was just not something that I was used to. And that type of stuff, like I thrive like in those types of things. Like having to figure out like, okay, where am I about to eat? Or like, where do I even go to eat? What are the cool places to see? Like, what are the cool things to do? Like, I love that type of stuff.
Also, Texas is flat. as fuck.
I know.
Flat. And like going out to like Colorado, especially, you're like, what the fuck? It looks all fake, like a
dude,
picture.
whenever,
painting.
because we were staying up in Winter Park whenever I first went to Colorado. In Winter Park, where we were staying, it was like up a mountain. So we traveled up this mountain by itself for probably like a whole hour and a half.
Damn.
Just like going up there. And by the time that we were getting up there, where you could just look over and be like,
yeah,
you know, like it's different.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, a little bit, because you're like, damn, I really am.
You've never been that high in Texas, besides when you smoke.
Yeah, I'd have been like, so this is how it really is, though. Okay, you know,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now that's the one thing that I will say is the biggest debate for me still, is because I love Colorado bud, I also love California bud. I genuinely couldn't tell you which one I like more though, because I feel like it's two different settings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're smoking them in completely two different settings. So it's like if you smoke like LA, but it's almost like, okay, well then you're gonna feel like you're in LA. You know what I mean? You're gonna embrace like that LA environment. But it's like I was in Colorado and we were just on the balcony just seeing all these mountains, and it was just like, you know, like
Right.
it's a completely different feel.
The air is just so fresh in Colorado. Like you just feel like your lungs are brand new when you're there.
Yeah.
It just feels amazing to me.
Yeah.
We went to Portland about like a year or two ago.
Oh man,
Beautiful.
I've always wanted to go there too.
Well, I will say like the city part of it is like right after like, all the riots too. So that part was like kind of, but it was still cool, like grungy Philly, like and like graffiti everywhere. So it was pretty cool. But the nature part of it though, like there's green everywhere, moss. It looks like it's like just wet, but like just really fresh. And the weed out there is also really good too.
Yeah,
So.
dude.
There's actually the place where the Airbnb we were staying at is like this little area. Kind of remind me of like a deep element in a way. But we figured that there was a dispensary shop like right down the road. So we walked there. It is early in the morning. Right next to the dispensary shop is a donut shop. So we're like, dude, this is fucking like.
They did that on purpose.
I know,
like, you know
right?
what I mean? Like, there's no way that they just like didn't do that shit on purpose.
I was like, I would love to live.
That'd be the
donuts,
best. Dude.
and they had ice cream too, like a donut ice cream shop, like random, like.
That's a great wake and bake right there.
Right?
That is an incredible wake and bake. You're just like, I just got some butt. Oh, they got donut. Yeah, dude, I would have been like, that's awesome.
So I know you said you use Logic. What do you use for like? Do you use any VSTs or anything like that?
That's what's a little bit unfortunate, my man, is that I really wish that I've like invested like more money into VSTs and also just plugins in general.
Right.
But you know, I guess the way that I've kind of been doing it for so long is the term like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
You know, like you can. And I know it's been said like all the time, but it genuinely is true. Like you don't necessarily need those types of things to make what you want to make.
Right.
But there are some times where you do hit walls, you know, like as a producer, like with any type of creative field, bro, like you almost have like that breaking point where it's like, okay, I know for a fact if I had this one EQ, if I had a fab filter, I could be able to get this one frequency. Or if I had this one type of compressor, I'd be able to get it right there at that saturated, distorted sound that I would want. I think it's a good thing to be able to invest in these types of tools. But I would think the VSTs that I mainly use right now that are mainly not Logic is I got this like baby audio pack. And it's like this tape saturator. I use that. Parallel aggressor, that one's dope. Spaced out, that's a really cool reverb / like delay plugin. And oh man, I don't know why. If the last one that I'm thinking of comes to mind, I'll bring it back up. But there's this other one that's basically like a de-esser / EQ. That's really good with vocals and everything.
Yeah.
I would say those are probably like my top like third party ones that I use. But besides that, I'm pretty much using all stock Logic stuff.
Yeah, and they have good shit too. So.
They really do, man. I feel like a lot of people. And this is another thing too, bro. Like, I'm not trying to have no debate or war with anybody who's like not using Logic or you know, like, don't claim, like, if anything, you can't claim that this one or this specific DAW is the best.
Yeah.
Because you're probably claiming that because it's the one that's fitting to you the most. as well as there's been hit records made on literally every single type of DAW that you can think of.
I mean, essentially they're all the same. They're just different.
Exactly.
Setup,
like just
different
the layout
buttons,
might be like a
layouts,
smidge different, like a
Right.
tad bit. Maybe like one knob is like over here and the other one it's over there, but it's
Right.
like the overall like piano roll, the way that it's all like sequenced out and is able to be laid out, they're damn near all the same.
Yeah.
You know?
I have seen that one Serato, I think Serato sample. Have you seen that?
Yeah, dude.
With the different stems, and you can, dude, that's a game changer.
Yeah, I remember I was watching this cool little clip from Metro Boomin talking about how he used that
Oh, yeah, I've seen
shit ton for his,
Yeah.
Heroes and Villains. He said that he was using that a
love that
lot,
album.
dude. That
I mean, all his
Fire.
stuff is just amazing. It's just so different. Like the violin use, that is one big thing to me.
Nah,
Like,
for sure.
I love violin, so whenever he puts that in his music, I'm like, damn, I need to listen to that more.
It's a very captivating instrument. Violins are a very, that's what's so cool, that as I've like just made music over time and just like learned about it more, you do start to just naturally learn about like the music theory and kind of, well, you play this one chord, it's supposed to invoke this type of feeling.
Yeah.
You're playing this note, it's going to invoke this type of feeling. So yeah, whenever it comes to violins, like I feel like that's just a naturally emotional instrument because it's like a string.
Yeah.
Stringed instruments are very, very like emotional, like you feel a lot from like stringed
Right.
instruments.
Even
Devil Went Down to Georgia. Oh my God. Every time I hear that song, I'm just like, I wish I had a violin in my hand and I wish I could play it.
Yeah.
that's funny. Even like the brass or like I hear like in a lot of trap beats, like that brass, like dun dun. I like that. I love that sound. I think Metro Boomin even used that in one of the songs on that new album, but I can't think of it right now. But
I've never really seen someone put together like the way he has. Like it's all his beats, all his music, and people are like, "Let me come to you. Let me be on your album." And to me, that was just amazing. Like whenever I would introduce people to Metro Boomin, like to his music, be like, "So who's this?" I'm like, "It's Metro Boomin." They're like, "Well, who is he?" I'm like, "He's the one that made this album." Like he got all his favorite people, all the people he loves, and he made it, and they made amazing music
Kanye's
together.
good at doing that too.
Dude,
Tyler the Creator too.
Tyler the Creator is also really good at doing that. I don't know. Do you guys happen to know the rap group Griselda?
Yes.
Dude, guys like The Alchemist who have like pretty much made like co-jointed tapes. Like
Yeah.
it's exactly like what North said last time that he was here, like Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how that's what I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it would be great to land a single with you as an artist for sure, but it's like, no, bro. Like I can give you like, let's create a theme. Like let's almost create like a movie.
Yeah. That's what it
together.
is. Like,
You know, exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I feel like movies and music are always going to tie in together with me, because it's, I can give you a single, you know what I mean? For sure. Like you can choose one of my beats, but I would rather just like create a whole body of work.
Create the vision. of
Create a huge, like a huge picture.
Yeah.
Like see bigger than just like the cool little pic, you know what I mean? Like let's create a fucking mural, dude. You know what I mean? Like might as well. I like being able just to dive in and just tap in on like a different sort and just kind of, like I said, just create a theme with like an artist. That I love that.
Yeah. That's pretty
That
cool.
drives me through the roof. Like I thrive in that type of stuff.
And like I feel like the group that y'all have, it's almost like a family. Like I know North was talking about it a little bit, how like, y'all have like a FaceTime call that y'all
Lot of
jump
support.
on and y'all just talk and like tell each other's ideas and stuff like that. And that's really rare to find, I feel like, nowadays, because everyone's so like me.
Yeah, they don't want to share their good ideas because they don't want the other people to take it.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy that you bring that up, because there's just naturally a lot of really weird people in the world, man. A lot of people. A huge thing that I just can't. A huge thing for me is like whenever like assumptions are made, or whenever it's almost like you feel like you have it all figured out about somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if that person has not physically done something to you, or like a loved one that you are 1,000% closer with, then, you know what I mean? It's like, then you're not really gonna know everything about this person, like to a T, as much as you think. So it's like, whenever it comes to like assumptions and just people like just moving with ill intent, like I try to pick up on that as fast as I possibly can. And I feel like that's what is important. That's what is important, is that with me and these homies, like these guys, the fam basically, is that, you know, we're open. We are very open with one another. We will tell each other no, but more importantly, like we get excited when we want to tell each other yes. You know, because it's like we care about like each other's music, and I feel like we all each as individuals like believe in one another. And whenever you believe in like one individual, or whenever multiple individuals believe in all of the other individuals, then it's like that's a group.
Yeah, that's
you
a
know,
deeper
like
connection.
that, like that's
anything.
a collective,
right
there. Like at the end of the day. And this is what's so funny, dude, is that I still tell them to this day, I'm like, it would be cool to be in a band.
Yeah.
I'm like looking around, like it'd be cool to be in a band, Joe. But I know, I'm just going to put it like this. I know it's not that time yet.
Yeah.
Because I know that we're all still kind of like on our own little individual journeys as far as figuring out our own journey with it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, I just feel like someday, shape or form, like there's going to be some type of band or group. I for sure think that it would be so fire to drop a project as titled, kind of like how Brockhampton does.
I was about to say Brockhampton.
Bro, literally like
Yeah.
Brockhampton. Like all of those dudes that are in that circle, in that band, are their own individual artists.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Like I don't think there's like one person that's like wouldn't say that they're not an artist or like contributing in that type of shape or form.
Right.
But they just get together and they just literally make music together, and they're just in a band.
Yeah. I watch all the documentaries of like them, like from the what was it? What's that 3-part like mixtape thing they did one summer?
Saturation?
Yeah, like the Saturation trilogy, like that documentary. I was like, damn, dude.
Dude,
like,
and
they
Saturation was so
just
good.
creating.
That was so good. I think it was Saturation 1 where I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
And they're from Texas.
Yeah.
San Marcos.
Oh, I found that out and I was just like, I'm already fan.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
that's for sure.
one of my homies, so we found this one dude in California. He like ran into him. We were at the or the Odd Future Festival.
I'm so jealous that you went there and I didn't.
Yeah, he got lost.
I'm jealous you went there.
Dude, it was a good time. That's another story though. But he got lost. My homie Khalil did, and could not find him the whole rest. It's a huge place. It's a Coliseum, so like huge, people everywhere. We're at, like walking in one stage or the other is like already fucking overwhelming and tiring. So
Yeah.
it's already late. It's over, and we're like, let's just go back to the hotel. He'll show up. Shows up finally, and he's like, dude, I met this guy. He's also from Texas. He makes videos, and I think we're gonna start working. And it kind of just happened that way. Like he moved over there, but before that, he was actually working with Brockhampton. So he showed us like videos of them, and this is the first time me finding out about them. I was like, oh yeah, they're all right, they're cool. And then when they dropped Saturation, I was like, yeah, okay. Actually, no, I think the one before that was like an All American Trash or something like that.
Yeah, it was
That
like
pretty good, too.
All American something 1990. It was
Yeah.
it was like a long titled thing for sure.
Yeah, but definitely like their work ethic and like just all of them like coming together. Like even like the guys that weren't rappers, they were like designers. One guy was like a website designer, and like they're just constantly
Like they all
collaborating.
did something.
Yeah.
It was all, but that's what like made it cool, is that they didn't just like take the people who were the artists and make them the band.
Right.
You know, like they didn't just have like those 4, 5, 6 dudes that were just the ones mainly on the tracks and just be like, yo, this is Brockhampton. They were like, no, all 14
Everyone.
of these dudes are Brockhampton, bro. Like
Yeah.
literally, if there wasn't one of us, there would probably be none of us. Like I like that.
I think it's funny that people still think Brockhampton is one person.
Yeah, like, and it's just like you expect to hear that many different voices on one
Right.
track, bro, with no features,
Right.
0 features, bro, and you think that it's one person, man.
That's my
It's
mom.
just like, come on, bro. That shit is funny.
Is there an artist that you want to work with that like you would love to produce a beat for?
Man, if I just brought up the whole entire
Okay, top 3. We'll say top 3.
top
It
3.
could be local or
Yeah, just
Dream.
someone that you're just like, damn, I need their voice on my beat.
Man. See, this is so funny, dude. I knew I should have thought. I thought of a good amount of questions that I was probably going to get asked, but that was not one of them, surprisingly. I think off top, I'm just going to say Future. I would love to, and I'll even just manifest this again, even just on here. Like, I'm gonna work with Future one day. It might be 2 years from now. It might be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, at some point, shape or form, like, I'm going to work with Future. But I would love to work with him. I've always thought that his music was so badass, dude. Yeah. The way that he's just able to take, like, that soul, but, like, turn it so trap.
Right.
And it's just, like, if you really listen to his music, especially on his more, like, darker, dimmer albums, like his, like, you know, especially something like 56 Nights.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's talking about some pretty serious stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he like, I just feel he's able just to make sad lyrics sound so good.
Like, you want to hear it in the voice,
you know, like he just makes it so, and this man is almost 40 years old.
Oh yeah.
And that still blows my mind. He's like 36 or something like that. Still just doing this shit like so nice and just so good. Like, it doesn't even sound like he's aged, bro.
Right.
He's so, like,
and
I would say...
He's not even, like, confrontational, like, wanting to be in the media or drama, too. Like, he's just
dude.
like...
They put him in the media all the
they
time,
want
though.
to. They want to try, but he's like, fuck all that.
Yeah, dude. He's just to his own. Like, he's already...
He's like, no, love, I'm good.
He's already... Yeah, you know, he's already done, like, what he's needed to do. I feel like he just won another Grammy, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's chilling. Like, it don't matter. I would say Future would be really fire. Honestly, I would also say Brent Faiyaz.
That'd be
Oh,
sick.
yes.
I love some Brent Faiyaz.
He's
man.
so confident.
I just
so
I just feel like I like whenever it sounds. I like when music sounds raw, because it's like, obviously I know that it's not, because it's like that's kind of what you really got to do to make a crisp, clear, nice sounding hit record. You know, it's got to go through some of that pitch correcting, some of that auto tune, and you know, things have got to be mixed and mastered, all of that. But I just love the way that he just layers his voice, like really just uses it as like an instrument almost too. I've always thought his music was super badass as well. Like that Paris song, or like something. Ah, man, I can't.
The one that's like,
remember.
"Fuck the world, I'm a walking erection." That one always plays in my head.
Where he's
Paris.
like, I got too many hoes.
Oh yeah, and he's just in the background. Yeah,
dude, I fucking love that.
dude.
song.
I remember telling you to listen to him like a while back, but it was a TikTok that I seen. Like, the TikTok kids were comparing him to, like, or they were like Frank Ocean or Brent Faiyaz. I was like, no, fucking.
That's two different things.
That shit just pissed me off, bro. On some real shit.
And that's
like,
what happened. But I went to go listen to him because, like, I'd never actually listened to him before, and then I was like, oh, okay, not Frank Ocean, but definitely like in his own lane.
No, bro. I could no. Here's what's crazy though. I've never even put those two together until just now.
Right.
So it's like, now that I'm thinking about it, I will still say, like, you can't put those two
No.
together. You just can't.
No.
Because it's like, Frank is Frank, Brent is Brent. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Would they be able to make some very cohesive, fire-ass music
yeah.
together? Absolutely.
I would
Because
love
it's
to
just,
too.
you know what I mean? It's the way that I can see it, because it's the way that they use their voice and everything, for sure. Like, Frank is a very vocal instrumentalist. Like, he's able to use his vocals for not just vocals. He likes to use it for a part of the beat and everything
Like
too.
ambiance and shit.
Yeah, you know, like, he likes to do that. And same thing with Brent. So
Yeah.
I feel that, but no,
No.
you can't.
I
do
think
that.
I would feel more comfortable comparing him to the old Weekend, like that kind of like
Brent
soul.
Faiyaz?
Yeah, the old Weekend, not the
That's,
new pop
I feel like
Weekend.
that's a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely closer. But even the way that I see it is that, like, okay, here's like R&B. Like, this is all of the R&B music. This is like all of the rap music. This is all of the soul, like, you know, blah, 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 this and that. There's all of these little bubbles. And it's like right where the R&B and soul bubble is, like right here, Brent's just like right out of that.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like, he's right there, like in that mix where he's kind of just one of those lone wolves. I feel like I can't.
Like Drake is a lone wolf.
Yeah, you know, like I can't think if I were to sit here. That's what I'm saying. Like I've never compared like those two artists together, or even those two artists together, because I've always just listened to his music and been like, dude, like there's only one Brent Faiyaz that I know. Because I really just can't think of like another dude who's like making music like he's making that type of music.
There's
It's
another
his
guy.
confidence though. That's what really just.
You ever listen to Choker?
Choker, can't say that I did.
He got big for a little bit, and people were comparing him with Frank Ocean. Like his music was pretty good too, but kind of just fell off. But
it's just like, man, stop. Like that's
right, yeah, like stop.
But okay, and if anything, I feel like a better word to use instead of like a better word to like do whenever you're comparing is say like they were influenced.
Yes, definitely.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, duh.
Right.
Like obviously, like it doesn't matter. Like everybody was influenced by something. Like you think that this song, that you think that like even the dude like Lil Wayne, do you think that like he just was not influenced to the slightest by some people? Right. You know what I mean? Like the greats were all influenced by something. And that's what makes this process fun. That's what's supposed to make music creation. If you were never influenced and you were just like, yeah, I got it, I can make shit, then it's like, sorry, but you would be making shit.
Yeah.
Like you would, because like influence doesn't just come from like hearing a new song and you like one section of it. It comes from life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like influence is all around us. Like each little thing that happens, it can be used to influence in your creative field. You know what I mean?
If
like,
you see it that way.
Exactly.
If
you
you
know
open your mind to it.
Exactly. Like if you can, but I'll even put it like this. If anything, it's almost like it's just a natural subconscious thing. I feel like even if people don't necessarily realize it right off the bat, if they're not exactly like thinking about it as so, it's still just going to happen because whatever, you know, as you're going through that life, as you're going through your life, you're going to feel these certain things. You're going to go through these certain experiences. And some of these people that you are used to being with or you are just now meeting, like, they're going to influence you. You know what I mean? It's one of the most natural things, I feel like, as a human, is to get influenced by the things
right, because you
around
can, like, let's say you were born in a whole different state or place.
Right.
You would be a totally complete different person than you are right now.
Yeah.
You'd be influenced by so many different things.
Exactly.
I couldn't picture a non-Texas me.
I can't, bro. I can't either, dog.
That's crazy, right?
Like I will rep Texas, man. Like I really will. Like like everything's better in Texas, man. You know what I mean? Like they
bigger
say
and better.
Bigger and better for sure.
Once
like,
you live here, you'll understand it. But if you're not from here, and that just probably sounds like bullshit to you,
You're like,
but
oh,
it
y'all
really
ride a
is
You're like,
true.
man, that don't even make sense. Like, what are y'all talking about? I'm telling you, bro.
Live here, you'll see.
Telling you, bro.
That's why all those big companies moving in.
That sounds like Key and Peele right there.
Come on, man. Just stay over here for a little bit.
Don't California love Texas.
You will see.
I hate when people start saying like,
I
shut the
know.
fuck up.
But
Texas is big.
we have a lot of room, but everyone's trying to like pack into one city.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to pack into Dallas. Everyone's trying to pack into Austin, and that's why people say that.
Definitely
I think is
Austin.
because it's like you're bringing so much more traffic and stuff, and we're already like so packed in the small cities because people don't want to expand more. They want to be where the action's at.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have not been to Austin in years, and I
That
just
is
look at
lovely.
pictures and it's like it looks completely different.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy.
and they're still building more and more.
Yeah. Like the last time I went is like it was like the last time they were gonna have the graffiti park. Remember? I don't know if you ever went to that place. It was like this huge.
I remember
I
when
don't
you
think I've
went.
ever been, but I've seen so many pictures.
Oh
of
yeah.
it.
It's gone now, but I
It's
remember.
gone?
Yeah. I remember like the last time I went
Oh.
was 2018, I think, when my sister graduated. And we went by there because I remember them saying like, "Go ahead and enjoy it now because it's gonna be gone." And teared it down.
Do y'all need some refill?
What are I feel like we kind of went over this too, but maybe not. But as like a producer starting out, like a beginner, like somebody who's just getting into it, what are some ways for them to just kind of like break out and just basically like get more exposure, maybe get out there more, start connecting with the artists? Like what are some ways that maybe you found that are like helpful for you?
I would say the number one thing is it's always cool, and by any means, like it's understandable if you want to just pretty much send beats out from the crib and really just, drop a artist 50 beats at one time. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to sit here and say that there is, but the number one thing that has helped me is that I like being a little bit more personal. Like, it's kind of like what I was saying about whenever I could give you a single, really, but I feel like for the most part, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this actually right now, like just put this out there. I think sometimes, I don't know. I think maybe sometimes like there could be this certain way that maybe my Instagram looks, or maybe something of the sorts, whatever the case may be, that I guess you could say like perhaps throw a couple of artists off or whatever. Because, the truth is like I don't really have like a shit ton of my beats like posted in my reels, or I can easily say that I'm working on that a lot more because it is about time that I do so, but a lot of the time like it's a lot more of me for sure, and I definitely think that what's important where that was going to end up leading is basically that you need to get in front of the artist. Like you really be able just to need to give a face to your beats. It's the same thing if you were the artist yourself. Like people like my homie put this in a great perspective the other day. My homie Justin, him and my boy Camo, I made a really good decent amount of music with my homie Camo as well, and they're both incredibly talented dudes. Like love these boys to death. But Justin put it in a great perspective for me. He said, I guarantee him to you, I could probably send like 10 beats to this one artist, and he may rock with like one or two of them simply just because he's listening to it. Like, yeah, he probably might find one that he rocks with the best out of those 10. Does that necessarily mean that he likes it? Maybe not, but that just means that that's the best one that he's liked. He said, I could probably get right in front of this man, and simply just because he saw my expression whenever I was making the beat, cooked something completely new right up in front of him, did this, did that, he was like, watch him like it even more.
Right.
And he was like, because he literally is like right there.
Right.
He can say like, there's an inclination of there's a beauty to the process.
Yeah.
There really is, and it's like as an artist, that's another thing. As a producer, you got to understand, like, if they're an artist, they may not know how to produce, bro.
Oh, yeah.
At all. You know what I mean? Like, they may only know how to just press a button, drag a beat into the DAW, whatever. Like, they've never made a beat. You know what I mean? There's a lot of artists that are like that. Not saying that there's anything wrong, but in the perspective of the producer, right? They just may not know as much as you do. So the simple fact of the matter is that if you're genuinely just already in front of them, just doing that on the fly, and there's an inclination factor. They feel like, oh, wow, I feel like I'm learning.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm learning something about like this process that is making it more fun. You know what I mean? Being able to completely like, you know what I mean? To completely create on the fly. Because they could be like, oh, like, could you do this here? Or like, could you do that there? Like, there's a whole process to it, bro.
Yeah.
That was so dope with like me and Keenan is, we really had it to where we would be in the same room. Like a lot of those tracks, like I actually recorded him, and we ended up sending them like over to the mixing and mastering engineer Lev, our homie Lev. And throughout the whole entire process, like it was a very collaborative effort, and that's why like we were just so excited for like whenever it came out. It's because you can really build something. That's what I mean. Like you put your face in front of these artists, you can genuinely build something with them. And to me, that matters. That if you hear, I'm so serious. I have heard every single producer that I've watched like come up like over time and all of this, they all collectively damn near say the exact same thing. If they're not one of the producers that was just like, oh, I was just in the room and I like was able just to, you know what I mean, like lay a couple things down or whatever. If you are not one of the persistent and or lucky producers that were able to get along that studio session or along like that collaborative effort with a bunch of other producers, land that placement, all power to you. But the other side of that is simply just they found an artist they liked and they just made literally everything together until he blew up or they blew up. I've heard it so many times and I'm just like, okay, cool.
I've always said too, like, when you're just like making your beats, putting them up online or selling them, it's different. Like when artists, like being in the same room and like knowing like what the vibe is for that artist, like y'all are collaborating on that. Like he knows what you want him to say or something, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
And like selling a beat, like they'll probably change. Like they could probably change up the song completely different with their own like lyrics.
Exactly.
Than what you thought, but you know, it still maybe sound good. But it's almost like word of mouth now, or just like being in front of people. Like it's a lot more important than just being on like social media and saying like posting like, "Hey, look at this," because most people are just gonna scroll through and not even fuck with it. And then not just a attention span, and it's just like
attention.
It could be something so
short.
good, but they're just like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get to the good part because they're like, nah, that's too long.
Damn, I feel like I have a lot of beats like that where it's like at the end, it's like, oh, it gets so good, but it's like.
I'll tell you what, dude. I'd like to let's definitely make some beats sometime.
Definitely.
That'd be really cool, bro. Because like I said, I've never worked on. I've literally never seen a session of Machine, dude. I don't think so. So it would just, but that's what I like doing. Is that I like being able just to, especially starting off, like every single time that I always collaborate. The very first session or the very first like part of the session is usually always me just saying like, oh dude, like just do your thing. You know what I mean? I can just add you're good. Damn, I thought that was the cut.
We'll blow it off in a sec.
Damn, I thought that was the cut, man.
No.
Like
you almost had a heart attack,
I was like, I was about to freak out. But I love watching it. I pretty much just say like, dude, just do your thing. You know what I mean? I'll probably just come in like second half, maybe just throw some things in there, but it's like I like just being able to watch like other people. And I think another huge thing as a producer, pretty much even just for the exposure, is being able to learn and create relationships, pretty much exactly like you said, because word of mouth is very important. It really is. Like you may only have like 100, 200, 300 followers, okay, but it's like if you have 400, 500 people who would like vouch for you and say like, oh dude, like nah, like he's a good producer, like he works hard, like he's blah blah blah, then it's like that's gonna take you a lot farther, you know what I mean, than anything else. Because those connections and the relationships that you establish, that's
something I fully believe in. That's kind of like where we got started here, is like we want to connect people. Like it shouldn't be like everyone's just against each other. Like we're all in the same city. Like we need to build each other up in a way, even though like there's competition, of course, really, but we can be heard as a city if we work together more rather than everyone just, doing their own thing all the time. So that's one of the big things of why we started this podcast too, is we want everyone to hear the great people of this city, because y'all are representing the city too. Everything y'all do, it comes out of Fort Worth.
For sure.
Like, so that's just beautiful to us.
So we definitely want to bring a light to.
Yeah, there's amazing music in this city. It definitely, like I said, y'all's album, it was put together so well, and I want everyone to be able to hear it. So
thank you.
I hope everyone hears it in this city at least, or hears it from this podcast, like learns about it.
They're gonna hear it. If they haven't heard it already, they're gonna hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll say it like this, man. I'll put it like this. I've been manifesting this pretty hard, definitely over the last few months. Like something big is like coming and brewing up in Fort Worth right now.
That's what I've been saying too.
I've been preaching it just to the skies, bro. Like it's only a matter of time.
Right.
I've been saying it so much, and it's one of those things where it's like you say it so much, you just firmly believe it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it almost like there's nothing that could just like tell me anything or say anything to me, and then my thoughts would just regret or like disagree with it.
Right.
You know, I really do think like in these next couple of years, like something is gonna happen.
Yeah, there's so much like great music being made that just needs to be heard. Like we're not just stockyards. We're not just like people just associate Fort Worth with stockyards and that's it.
Or it's just
But
like
they're
Dallas.
missing out on the
It's just
music.
Dallas and like Fort Worth doesn't get the shine or anything. But
Yeah.
it's kind of starting to.
I don't know,
It's
Fort
gonna
Worth.
be up
I
there.
just love
I mean,
Fort
Dallas-
Worth so much.
I hate going to Dallas. It's fun, but
I love
The
Dallas.
roads. It's the driving part for me in Dallas.
I love Dallas, but I also have never liked the traffic out there.
Yeah.
Like the back to back, like short turn after short turn, like
The exits.
yeah, like just all of that has always kind of been a nightmare for me too. But I do love Dallas, bro. And as far as the musical scene goes, what I'll say is that there's been a lot of pretty decent sized names, pretty big names really, that have definitely came out of Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do think that, you know, and I don't know how to say this without like perhaps offending the city of Fort Worth, but whenever you think of Dallas, you think of a lot more hip hop rap music based. You know what I mean? Like that's just that sound out there. Like you do think of a lot more hip hop drums, rap based drums, like those things of that nature. And then you think of Fort Worth, it's a lot of live instrumentation.
Yeah.
You know, I would definitely say like you think a lot more band, you think a lot more alternative.
There's
you think
nothing
a lot
wrong
more
with that.
rock, which there isn't.
It's
at
beautiful.
All. It's absolutely beautiful. But I would say like that's just what makes it different is that clearly like rap and hip hop is just a very strong driving force right now, just like in the music world. And I really do feel like over this last year or two, really for some reason I really feel like since almost like 2020, like late 2019, the Fort Worth like rap and like hip hop music scene has just started it's bloomed like so much. Like the more that I started just like working with just a lot more of the guys that I'm working with now, I'm like, damn, like there's
something here.
Yeah, like there's a like whoa, like, and even not just them, but like the other artists that I've kind of just sprouted and met through my homegirl Avery too. Y'all know Avery?
Yeah.
Dude,
Talented.
Avery Burke is my homegirl. Like that's like my big sis, you know? And she was really the one that she was really the first serious artist I can genuinely say that I feel like actually like accepted me and kind of like took me in to be like, yeah, like let's make some music together. Because I didn't really know like a whole lot of people at this time that ultimately knew or was having this much drive or like interest in music as much as me. So she pretty much was like, yeah, like just pull up, and she introduced me to a lot of people.
Dude, she's dope.
She's super dope.
I actually seen her for the first time. My homie was having a show. Is that this like random like photo studio place? But she was there. She performed that night. It was like a full band. I was like, what?
Yeah,
she's like killing it.
Yeah, she's fire, dog. She's so fire.
Yeah.
I love just being able to sit there like just watch her shred on stage because she's
so
cool.
Yeah,
like,
I seen her start playing guitar. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
bro,
Damn.
she just
I
like
need to
so
meet her.
cool. Nah, she's fire. If I were to pass a lob to y'all, I would definitely say
we almost had Kuhn on the All Vibes Fest lineup, and like he was like, I can maybe get Avery, and I was like, if you can.
Mm-hmm.
But she said I think she was having like a big show in Austin around that time. So
I'm pretty sure it was around the exact same time as well.
Yeah,
that makes sense then.
But yeah, dope person for sure.
Yeah, dude. She's
So
really cool.
I see your tattoo. Is that an astrology tattoo?
Yes.
What are you?
It is. I'm a Capricorn.
That's what I was thinking it was, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing.
No, for sure. That's actually another huge reason like why the release of this project was like very, very important for me in North, is because he, you know, my birthday was the 12th and his was the 15th.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So like right there dropping on the 14th, like pretty much right in the middle
Same
of our
year,
birthdays. Too? No, he's 2 years older than me because he just turned 26. I just turned 24. So Yeah, he's 2 years older than me, but we just knew, like, as we were wrapping up, like, that fourth quarter last year, we were like, bro, there's no reason why we shouldn't drop this right around our birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as we, like, brought that idea up, it was immediate. Like, we just knew.
Big ass party for this.
Yeah, dude. We were, like, a co-jointed, like, project release and, like, birthday party. I'm like, dude.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Good time.
we going in that night, dog. And... yeah, it was such a good time. It really, really was. Very special.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what kinds of beads are those? Like, what does that...
So this is actually dope. This was like a handmade bracelet. I was working at a vintage store, and basically this woman came in. I believe her name was Kendall. If that was not her name, I'm sorry, but I'm guessing as best as I can. Her name was Kendall. I only met her like twice, but she had like this bead making like little side hustle. Like she could make necklaces, she could make beads, like she could make cool stuff like that. And so she was like, "What do you want like in your life right now?" And I said, I'm pretty sure at the time I said protection and abundance. And that's whenever she made the tiger's eye, which is like all of these. And then I want to say this is like green
Jade?
It's not. It's like green anticrite. It's like it's spelled. I can't, if I butchered that, I'm sorry. But it's green something. But the green is for abundance, and then the tiger's eye is basically for protection. So this was like handmade. Like pretty much straight from her. She literally brought it
That's
back.
awesome.
Like I told her, and then she brought it back like same day.
Dang.
Yeah, I was like, word. Like okay,
Then you must
yeah.
have really needed that, because she's like, here it is, I got it for you right now.
For sure. She was just like, yeah, I think you do need this pretty bad, huh? Brought it literally same day. I was like, this is awesome.
Dang, that's amazing. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up, but before
I got one more question.
Oh, okay.
One more.
Sorry.
I don't have to open the book, but what's maybe like one of your main goals to like finish out the year, or even like soon?
Man, I would say to put like an umbrella expression about like my biggest goals that I have for this year is that I really just want to go like as hard as I can, bro. You know, I'm going to take the term like Kobe year like very seriously. You know, I want to work with, I pretty much just want something dropping every month.
Nice.
You know, and I feel like me, the guys, the people that I'm starting to work with now, even just like recently, like I'm pretty much going to make that happen this year. And I'll put it like this. I wrote not like New Year's goals, but more like just, I would call them almost like New Year's ideas that kind of just like leave a seed in my head. And it's just like, okay, like how could you turn that into a goal? Like what could you do? How could you plan that out? And definitely something that I have turned into a goal is just being able to have like 75 to probably triple digit credits like underneath my belt. And it was wild to see, bro, because I'll honestly say like after Pretty Cozy dropped, I'd like checked my credits and I'm like damn near 25, 30 already. And just with the pace, like with the pace that it's going at, I feel like it's just going to happen. Like I'm just going to make sure of it. So to definitely just grow as much as I possibly can, to just go as hard as I can, and ultimately to keep it slight, to kind of start putting some respect on my name, bro. Really, like I need people, like, yeah, like I want people to, I really need people to know, like, bro, like I do this, like I really have been, I like, this shit is not just no like side hobby in high school no more, like, and I'm gonna keep it so serious. There's a bunch of people that I know that had passions and hobbies in high school, and they're not doing any of that no more at all. And I'm just like, bro, like that was just never going to be me, you know. Like I just know that this is something that I was born to do, and I just think like, okay, I have enough firepower to be able to like let it show now.
For sure.
You know, so this year I'm just going to really try to let that show.
That's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
And I fully believe in you. Like I know you're gonna get exactly where you want to be, and
Thank you.
probably go even further than that, even this year, because like I said, that album was amazing.
Thank
and
you.
just like how humble you are and how open you can be.
Focus.
That
You
like
seem like you know where you want to go. So
like you're just so real. So
Thank you.
I mean, that's what people look for. You know, you don't want to work with someone that you're like, what? Like, what is he talking about? What is he doing? Like, you don't believe in them. But
Yeah.
like I said, I fully believe in you, and I know you're gonna get there for sure.
Thank you. Fuck yeah.
yes, sir.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys so much for having me on. This has been a wonderful time. And you guys are great as well. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's been the Juice episode
The
4.
Juice.
Juice.